You slept with my brother, Janet. Ah!
Next comic, give it loud for everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're gonna have the next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Why, hello everybody, and welcome to an Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. And I'm here today with my co-host, Wayne Russell. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Doing good.
And we're here today for my favorite, who gives a shit about me? Because today what we're talking about is our bombs. And they're my favorite series, the OMP bomb series, baby. We bomb so frequently, we thought that we would periodically check in with you guys and tell you about them because they keep us up at night and they're very interesting. So last time we had a bomb series episode, it was I was talking about the Burin era of bombing.
Yeah.
And since then, that was October to November. Now we're going to do December into January. We've had some bombs, baby. So, give us a rundown. What do you think, Wayne?
Yeah, there's been quite a bit. Honestly, I'm trying to think back, and I know there's been a ton of them. There's a couple that stick out of my head. One more recently than others, just because it was the other night. So I
We're going to
guess,
highlight two in particular.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with that one. This past Tuesday, I went to the Safe, and it was an interesting night. As time went on, people ended up leaving, and I've been working on my clean set, and I don't know, I just really kind of wasn't feeling it that night. And then when I finally got up, just felt like nothing was hitting. Like I think that's the first time I've done 5 minutes of silence in a very long time. Like I had a couple of little hits on, like my pronoun bit and the dad bod bit, got a couple chuckles, but it was weird, man. It was definitely a far cry from the following night when we went to Old Court. It's just so wild how different it was. But I've felt so much like a child standing on stage with my pants around my ankles that night.
Yes, and he looked like one, folks. I saw the footage. But, yeah, it was reminiscent of a set like we used to have in Jamaica Plain, where you would just be, everybody there is looking at the ground, and you're just like, okay, and you're just doing through the motion. The difference, though, on this one, at least I could pick up on the audio, I think the talking that people were doing were in that little nook, right? And they weren't overtly in front of you. That sucks about the Jamaica Plain one, is that the bar, they talk right in front of you. So it's kind of hard to talk through it. But still, I mean, you heard talking during your set?
I did a little bit, yeah. There was also a woman, two women right at the front, sitting at the bar that were listening, but one of them was like stone faced, like just wasn't having anything anybody was saying. And Terrence, Terrence from Worcester, dude, he was fantastic. He goes up, and a few minutes into his set, he goes, "All right, I think I got like a minute left. I'm gonna spend that minute trying to make you laugh." And he just rapid fired some of the most hilarious things I've ever heard, and she didn't even crack a smile. The girl next to her was dying, like rolling on the floor laughing. This girl was like stone face. I was like, damn. I was like, Darren, that was fucking awesome, dude. But that girl was tough. She was a tough cookie.
Well, I gotta say, I really appreciate when somebody is doing their set and they're like, you know what, audible, and they go into something like that. I don't have those chops, so good for Terrence for being able to audible on the fly like that. It's
he
always
is one of the
hilarious
most. He's one of the most confident people I think I've ever seen on a stage.
90% of the battle, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of motherfucker, you did your Tracy Morgan bit.
So that's a mini bomb I was going to bring up since we brought it up, the Old Court. I threw a reference to of Tracy Morgan into one of my jokes, and I really wanted to do a Tracy Morgan impression. Unfortunately, the only one that I know is when he was talking about stabbing his son for being gay, which I think I could kind of do, but I'm not dropping the N bomb. So I was trying to change it a little bit. So instead of saying like, "But not my sober's good," it's "Dad that," like I I ended up doing it. I said, I told you, like, I forget even how I said it. I was like, I told you, shoot that motherfucker. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close to a Tracy Morgan impression. You got to get like real slow and like
And you
aerate
laughed
your
at it.
mouth.
You
I
did it,
laughed
then you
because I knew how
laughed at
bad
it.
I laughed because I knew it was
nervously.
bad.
And
I knew it
everybody
was
went,
horrible.
kill him. Kill him.
When
But
you're
yes,
Tracy
that was.
Morgan, you got to get that air in the air in the mouth. You got to bring your neck back because he's like very like, and you can't like. You can't say words like it's one word. You got to say words like they're separate words, like motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
So I failed on every aspect of that impression. So that was a mini bomb inside the set, but I think the rest of it went pretty well. I had a couple people in the front there chuckling majority of the
Yeah.
time, so it wasn't too bad.
Yep.
That was a mini bomb
Hiroshima
inside
was
of
Tuesday. Hiroshima was Tuesday. You Nagasaki them on Wednesday. So,
So how about you? What has happened to you that has hurt your feelings in the past couple couple months?
definitely been some. My favorite though was Donahue's in Watertown.
That was
So I've
my
been
favorite as well.
Yeah. So this actually would be your best set since the burn, right? Didn't you say that? Would you still agree?
Yes, that
You had
was
a good one.
definitely that was my best set since the burn. Or since
And the
not
burn was
since the burn,
terrible.
since the night before the burn. The
Yeah,
first
the
time we
night
went
before
to
the
the
burn.
point was pretty good. But yeah, that was my best set. I think I had consistent laughter through the whole thing, which made your bomb bittersweet for me.
No, it's sweet because of how it happened. That's the thing. The great thing about this bomb was the room was good. There's lots of people in it. That's the people that we like because the Watertown people are kind of connected to the Lowell people a little bit weirdly. But this is the thing. There is a mic on Sundays. Was it Sunday Fun Day, Mike? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's Sunday Fun Day. Yep, at Jacques Cabaret.
Yeah. Which is obviously going to be a higher bringing of the LGBTs over there. And they were canceled that day. So all those comics came to this one. So it was really full and up. And I didn't really consider that they were like, I didn't, because they're all obviously just regular people. I didn't go peacocks. I was like, they're just, they're just people. And so I was just thinking about my set normally. And I have a trigger. So when Wayne does 75% or more of his set about a dick, an ode to dicks, Wayne has in some of his sets, I have a trigger joke that I like to do, especially if I go after him. Where, and I've said it on the podcast before, so sorry if you've heard it, but Wayne Brady came out as pansexual, a couple from Whose Line Is It Anyways? America's Sweetheart. We all love Wayne Brady. Came out as pansexual. And my joke is I go on stage, I go, I don't really know what that is, but I know it's the second gayest thing somebody named Wayne has done. And I've done it 3-4 times. Every time I'm like catching roses, I feel like. I'm like, I know. Isn't it topical? Isn't he gay? All this stuff. and I get it. But on this night, that was not a good idea to do, Anthony, because although it is not hurtful at the gays at all to compare Wayne to them, apparently it really is, because they were like, this fucking guy, no fucking way. And they weren't.
We don't want him.
Yeah, I've come to this. The only thing that makes me feel better about this bomb is that I hope that they were so offended that you were with them that they hated me for even mentioning it. But yeah, I said that joke to silence.
My theory on that is my set went so good that when you came out to make fun of me, they were all like, "Ah, my baby, you don't talk like that."
Yeah,
my baby.
You know what? I will. Whatever you say happened, I will allow to happen because that's how much shit got stuffed in my mouth. So, because this is the thing, I was so sure that was gonna work because I get so excited when I'm about to do it, because it works so good the couple times that I did it before, that I sell that thing like I'm like, here's the best joke you ever heard. And I did it to nothing, to just everybody going, hi, how about fuck you? And then except, which made it worse, Wayne chuckled a little bit in the background.
I was the only one laughing. I was laughing my ass off, which
Yeah.
made it even funnier because I was the only one. I don't know if you could hear that, but I was the only one laughing.
Yeah, and it blunted my sword, folks. Because after that, every joke I did didn't work. I had no confidence in it, and I ate shit for the whole time. And I gotta tell you, when you eat shit at a mic, and everybody else does, no harm, no foul. It wasn't meant to be. Everybody sucks. But when you see a good amount of people do good, and you're the one that eats shit, that is like a, I'm stopping this. I'm never doing this again. It's just not meant for me. Obviously, I'm not good at it. That's the feeling that you get when that happens. So that was funny. But man, here's a lesson to you. Don't shit on the chests of the people who don't want you to shit on their chest. That's for
That's
fucking
funny.
sure.
That's exactly the way I felt on Wednesday morning after the safe when I sent you my set from the previous night, and you just bombarded me with here's everything you did wrong,
I did.
which I appreciated. In hindsight, I appreciate it. I wasn't in the mood, Anthony.
Yeah, I am. So this is a criticism that my wife has of me. You know when your wife comes up to you and she's venting, and you should just listen to her, but instead you just try to
No,
fix it for
no.
her. No, never happens. No, never listen. That makes sense. Typecasted. But I think that's a common thing. Sometimes you just want to vent. You don't want the solution to the issue. You want to just be like, that just sucked. Stop telling me what to do about it. And I think I'm very practical. I'm very like when someone's like, "Man, this didn't do good." I'm like, "Maybe it's because you're a piece of shit." I should, and I should be better. Should be better about that. Like I should have given you a day and be like, Wayne, you know what was good about that good for nothing set that you did at the safe that made everybody have a 2% less opinion of you.
God
I should
damn.
line for line fucking vet it and break it down for you. That's the fun part about comedy, though. I love it because we're not doing like you eat shit one night. Who cares?
Yeah, sometimes the bombing's fun. Like we talk about it all the time. The brick was like the most fun bomb. 10 minutes of silence, but I had a blast telling my most disgusting thoughts to that old lady in the front row. Um,
And that's a good
yeah,
advice to like. We had someone come up to us at the old court asking about how to get started in comedy and the nerve wracking effect of doing it and all that. And I think the thought process of somebody going 10 minutes of bombing must be the worst thing in the entire world. And you're like, it really depends on what your perspective is of it. Like maybe if we're talking your opening for Louis C.K. at Madison Square Garden, it's your big shot and you're eating shit and you're like, my life's over. I've ruined this.
hmm
Now this is an opportunity wasted. I get that that's different. But let's just say it's a set at the Cellar in New York and you do it all the time, or it's one of the open mics around here, or all that stuff. You can bomb for 10 minutes and just laugh about it in your head as it's going on, like, because there's
yeah,
not much stakes.
I think one of the things to think about too is that when you go to these open mics, you don't want to be the funniest person at the open mic. You're there to figure out what works and to make things figure out how things flow. And when you're on stage, sometimes you come up with a tag or something on the spot. That's what it's there for. You're not there to make other comics laugh. It is nice when it happens, 100%, but you that's really just like priming the gun for the bullet to fire at a show. You know?
That's true, because at a show there's the possibility of catching lightning in a bottle, as we call it, where the energy of the room gets so out of control that I really feel like that's the way your Wicked Funny set was kind of
Yeah.
lightning got caught in a bottle, where the energy just gets such a fever pitch that everybody just got to go out there and just dance a little bit, and they're going to get that momentum and stuff going. And that's fantastic. But open mics don't have that. There's no lightning in a bottle to catch. So
Right.
it's more about having the tools that you can dance when that's available.
And I think part of that is when when you go to one of these shows like the ones that we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks, those people that are going for the most part probably don't go to comedy shows multiple times a week. So the first few times me and you did an open mic, and anybody does an open mic, it's like, man, this is brand new, and you're just like, this is funny, this is great, ha! And everybody's you're paying attention and really laughing. But 60, 70 mics in, you're like, okay, I've been here, done that. I've heard that guy tell that joke 17 times. Yep, I know the punchline to that, and it kind of changes. So yeah, that lightning in a bottle in a show setting where people aren't spending their life in a basement bar or a whatever is a different animal.
Yeah, and that explains kind of why it's so hard to get laughs at open mics. Is it's a time plus open mic factor where the longer you're in open mics, the more you've just literally the people and you've heard the jokes, so it's harder to get a laugh out. Where newer comics tend to laugh a lot more at them because they're hearing people's stuff for the first time, which is great. We obviously support each other, but it just is what it is. Especially now with when we first started, we're finding all the open mics, going there, signing on the list, and that's it. And I think now half of what we do seems to be stuff that's more like we know the people running it and we get on the list that way, like a pre-booked mic, like Allie's mics or
Yeah,
the Point mics or any of those other ones that we're doing that have that on there. So that's a little different too, because those ones are like specifically ones to work on, like a Max Schultz mics on Monday. Like those are the kind of ones that we're doing, and they don't feel as open micy. They're kind of like the intermediate step.
yeah, especially like Allie's and Cameron's at the point because they are open mics. They're pre-booked open mics, but they're open mics. But if you were to go into the point or Hallowed Ground or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, there's comedy downstairs," it seems like more of a production. The way they handle themselves and present it is more like this is a show, not this is an open mic.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't, when I say above, I mean the next step in open mic, I kind of mean it's like a step that can go in different directions. Like Max's mic is not like a show, but it's different than a regular open mic. It's a feedback mic, so it's like a,
Right. So that has
pre-sign up,
its own
that type of
place.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Its own pedestal
Yeah. Yeah.
of cool.
I I like that one we've talked about before. That one there's one of my bombs actually since we're on it.
Yeah.
One Broadway, the one where Anthony hosted, and it was probably one of the best open mic hosts that I've seen. Not saying that because you're my friend, co-host, all that. You fucking killed it as a host. Um, but me, on the other hand, I had a list of shit that I was trying, and I didn't know any of it that well. And I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable with it. And I know some of it went over kind of well, some of it
Hmm.
didn't go over as well. But for me, it felt like a complete bomb. But a word to the wise here: that um, that experience led me into where I'm at now, trying to work on my clean set. I took jokes from there that I liked how it felt, or I found out I don't like talking about this. I don't like this subject. I don't like the way this sounds, and I distilled it all, and I took what I liked from it, and I started putting together the bones of my clean set from that night, where I felt like a complete asshole when I left.
What would you say out of the three ones that you talked about that didn't go particularly well? Which one would you say you had your worst performance at? So we're taking the crowd out of the effect.
One Broadway.
That's interesting because one Broadway went better than the Safe as far as laughs go. But you feel like your performance is the weakest on that one.
I felt less prepared. Um, I felt not as comfortable. Uh, I don't know. I just didn't feel. I feel like it was my worst foot forward there. I guess.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. Even if I mean, you can say anybody can go up and butcher a joke and still get a laugh.
Yep.
So with an attentive crowd that is there to really pay attention for some feedback, they are going to laugh probably, even if you butcher the joke, but you get the point across. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's also that's why when me and you talk about comedy and we're trying to help each other's sets, I really don't take how the crowd reacted to your joke into account too much. I try to really break down your joke when I'm trying to give you advice on it because of that
Yeah.
factor that you talked about. If it just happens to be like a random crowd that's just laughing at everything that night, you don't know what you got, or if they're a real shit crowd and you have something
Mm-hmm.
good. So it goes both ways. I had a bomb without you in Portland, Maine. That was fun.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, me and Justin George went out and did a twofer, my very first two mics in one night, which I know is crazy that I haven't at this point, but everything's a fucking hour from me, so I'm not gonna do 2 hours there and back. I'll die of sadness. But anyways, Portland has two mics on one night. I believe it was Thursdays, and we went. So the first is Carlo runs a mic, and it was fantastic. It was like a bar setup, and they did trivia during it, which was really cool. And you would really like that, actually, Wayne. So I didn't even think I told you about this. So when we did the first mic in Portland,
Mm-hmm.
Hi something, forgot the name of it. Sorry, Carlo runs it. He's great. They did trivia during the night, and the comics would go up in between rounds, and the people at the bar would play trivia. And we would, they'd pay attention to us, whoa, and then they would do the next round of them. And that was really cool because we got to stand behind the bar. So if you were sitting at the bar, you were facing us, and it went great. But then I went, let's do two in one night like a stupid piece of shit. And I took my great set and I went over to a Chinese restaurant in Portland who had this beautiful stage upstairs that I sent Wayne a picture of. And I was like, look at this. This place is awesome. Look how amazing it is. And I should have known that I was going to go in there and all the comics would be standing by the bar, not paying attention. And one table of four women would be there. And I had to do comedy directly to them. And they didn't like it. Spoiler alert. They really, you know what? I've been getting ready for a set for delusional comedy. And so I've been working a couple 5-minute rotations. And I did 3 rotations that week of 5 minutes, and one portion of it worked at each place. And at this place, the portion that worked was a joke that I have about To Catch a Predator, which is really funny because that worked really well for these group of girls. But then I did my immigrants' parents bit, which has child abuse and racism and all kinds of great stuff baked into that one. And they hated every second of that. Like once I started talking about child abuse, which is on me, which you could totally talk about. That's what you get for it.
May I ask were the women white?
Yes.
So we talked about relatability, right? So not saying that white people can't be abused or everything, but your jokes about immigrants and immigrant parents beating you with a sandal and blah 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 and all this other stuff. So I wonder if the relatability wasn't there for them.
Yeah,
They're
you know
like,
what? Because
oh,
when white parents beat their kids, it's sad. But when immigrants do, it's funny. I've never thought about that
it's like
before.
like white parents, like there's always the possibility they go just a little too far.
Yeah.
Immigrant parents know like where to stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's
Like
been
white
baked
parents
in.
can end up in a lie detector.
Yeah, yeah, you emotional Irish pricks. You slept with my brother, Janet. Ah! That's the intro. Fuck. But yeah, no, they didn't like it. Bombed my dick off. So what else did we have any more of them? I feel like that's
Yeah,
the.
so I don't know if we talked about this in the last one, but even if we did, it might be worth bringing up again. But the Dancey Safe.
Oh yeah, I mean, did we bomb at the Dancey Safe? You bombed at the Dancey Safe. I think I did pretty good. I locked in with the
I mean, I
crows.
bombed. I got some laughs. Some laughs. It wasn't. It
You
wasn't.
brought it
It
up
wasn't
because this is the bomb episode, and you said we haven't talked about the Dancey Safe. I figured you thought you bombed.
no. So it was 10 minutes. I probably bombed for like 8 of them. But I still got a few laughs.
So Wayne's sex life to his stage life is so fucking interchangeable. It's like, yeah, 3 out of the
Nothing
four
lasts like
minutes
10
were
minutes. Are you out of your
agony.
mind?
Just the procreation ones.
No, I mean I wouldn't call it a complete bomb. There, we both had moments in our respective 10 minutes that went pretty well. But for me specifically, I was thinking of when that was my time where I just had to get some dark stuff off my chest, and I was doing the Chris Benoit bits, and that was
Nobody
not
could
the
talk
crowd to
Wayne
do it
out
in
of
front of.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
no one could talk Wayne out of the Chris Benoit bits.
I was very pleased with how often that went well, though. I don't know if I was pleased or disturbed. Like how many times people were like, "Oh,"
Kill your family, you say? Yeah.
but that was interesting because that was mainly a music crowd, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them actually like paid attention, and
It was near Halloween, so this was like in the beginning of November, and we ran into this time not an attempted murder, but a murder of crows. But it was Brandon Lee the crows because there was a whole table. They were dressed like the crow Brandon Lee, and I was so fixated on them the whole time. I was like, "What the? How did one you guys all get together? Go, let's all be Brandon Lee the crow." Two,
I want to
sorry, go
go
ahead.
in there next time just dressed up as Hulk Hogan and just start pointing at everybody because they all look like Sting.
They're gonna be like, "We don't know Sting. We're doing Brandon Lee the crow. Damn it! You gotta
It's the
go in
same
there." And
fucking paint.
I
It's the
guess
same
Sting's
shit.
similar.
No, no. I think Sting's face paint was actually modeled after the Crow.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
He
I'm pretty
ripped off the
positive.
crow?
I'm pretty positive. Yeah,
Wow.
I could be
Well,
wrong on that. Ask Lloyd
that's
next
true.
time you go
Yeah,
to Jungle Mike.
we gotta. Yeah,
Huh.
that's a that's a perfect that's a perfect one to end on. Jungle Mike. So this is synonymous because I did fucking well there, but I did fucking well there. But so this was really. Why don't you set the table? Can you set the table, and I will react off of your reenactment of it because it's gonna sound petty if I do the story. I don't want to.
Yeah. So Anthony, Anthony's talked about his California sober bit, and you're cool if I say the final line, right? I think you have in previous podcasts.
Yeah.
Um, so the final line of that bit is, "It's not gay, it's San Francisco straight," and that got a good laugh. So he did. What was it? Five. I think it was 5 minute sets. Had a really nice 5 minutes. Ended off with that nice laugh. Get off stage, and there was a little misunderstanding, I think. Lloyd was hosting that night and got up and made a comment that gay should never be the punchline of a joke. Um,
And the record
I don't.
literally skipped. It was like, and I was like, what?
Now, I don't. I do not. I honestly, I truthfully do not believe it was aimed at you. I think that was just a statement.
I
Um,
don't either. But the bullet hit Kennedy in the back of the fucking head.
yeah, it's kind of like when you're like trying to hit a pinata and you miss and you hit grandma on the head. Like you didn't mean it, but you still made contact. you know.
Yeah, she's still dead.
Um,
Oh my god, there was this fucking kid. I don't care about him because I'll never see him again. And I love Lloyd. Who cares? He didn't mean to do it, but he did it. And it was. I told him it was just like when Maggie Simpson shot the Burns. It's like I don't know if she meant to do it, but he was in the hospital for a while. There's a couple Simpson episodes about it. But anyways, there was this kid, and he was San Francisco straight, and he was so mad. He was so mad at me once because I had a good set, so I was high fiving people, and then he said that, and I know he didn't mean to, but everybody looked at me when he said that, obviously, and this kid was like, gave him one of those. Then he went up and his first line was shitting on you. Remember that kid?
Me?
Yeah,
What did he say? I don't remember that.
the kid that did the whole fucking Hamas Israel 5 minutes.
What did he say about me?
He said because you did you did one joke and he was like, I'm not gonna do jokes about, and he didn't say it in that voice. He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he fucking did. He was like, I'm not gonna say jokes about blank, and it was one of the jokes that you did. I forgot what it was.
Was it the Dick Spencery joke?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
probably, yeah. That makes sense.
That makes sense. It does make
That
sense.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we were wrong. We need to take the perspective on this, right? As we're like going in there and we're like, hey, fuck you guys with these jokes. We're gonna push the limit a little bit. So when the limit gets pushed back on us, it's kind of what we ask for. So we can't really be pissed off about it. But I just thought it was the funniest thing that's happened to me so far in comedy, because I remember sitting in the parking lot with you afterwards and you laughing it's the hardest you laughed in comedy since we started.
Yeah, dude, I think we were probably standing outside for a half hour, and I was laughing every time I tried to console you because you were like visibly like, not upset, but like just like I can't believe it just happened, and I just
Yeah.
could not keep it in. I was just laughing so hard, and every time I was like, "Well, I'm sure they didn't."
Because I literally, Peter there who runs Jungle Bike, I saw him in the hallway right before I went out, and I was so fucking cocky before I was like, watch this shit. I went up and that happened. I'm really glad it did, obviously, for the content of how funny that story was that happened. Because again, Lloyd's a friend. We know him on the show. We know he wasn't trying to do that. He was just sometimes in comedy, when you're hosting, I can say that now that I've hosted something, you hear a word and it triggers a joke in your head, or you're like, oh, I talk about this on stage. So someone does something in their act that you go, I can call this back and talk about it. And I think he had a point about gay jokes that he was making because he transitioned into another minute about that into it.
Yeah.
And the fact that the end of my joke went there triggered it in his head to start talking about it. But how he started was, he was trying to do a whole thing about gay. So he's like, you should never have a punchline be gay. And then he went on to more stuff. And I think in his head, he wasn't thinking about me. This is exactly what he said. So hopefully.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you watch like a Derek.
So.
Well, it's like remember when like Derek Ziba went up into that whole naked and afraid joke, and it sounded like it was right off the top of his head. He did it right after somebody came off the stage talking about naked and afraid, and he just went up and did like 2 or 3 minutes on it. So it was very similar. Something just boom triggered that, and he went up and did his jokes. But
because he did a similar
that joke was, I would never watch Naked and Afraid. Then everyone would be looking at him like, why are you watching that shit? You know what I mean? So if that's your way to get into the joke, and it just happens to be like that's what you need to say to get into it, and it just happens to make that person look weird, and you don't really put those two together. I don't know.
He felt so bad, so at least there's that.
I know he did. I heard it too.
I was
he
like,
was apologizing to me.
I know.
I don't give a fuck. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And I was like, motherfucker, I feel worse.
Oh, that was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah. Just you being like, yeah, but it's not like it was in front of the guy that runs it and everybody there looked at you really weird afterwards, and that the guy who was definitely California straight next to you was like, what?
I was standing next I was sitting next to you, and I felt the hate gazes.
Oh, because so there's a thing called mom mentality, folks, where everybody, it goes both directions. So I had a good set. So one kid come to me, he's like, hey man, that was fucking awesome. And I'm high-fiving multiple people, including Lloyd. Hi, Lloyd. And then as that was happening, everything turned dark. It was like one of those the Disney cartoons where the light goes out and everything goes
The
in like
music
this.
starts in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And it was such a good Fredo Michael Corleone movie moment when he fucking got off stage. I was like, Lloyd, you killed me. Yep.
Wow.
Uh,
Oh my god.
but a good story.
That was so good. Oh my god. I'm crying over here.
The bomb's the best episodes.
Yeah. You know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You can look back at those things and really get a lot of information from them. Like, not everybody finds something funny. And, hey.
Find
it
me a
is what it
person that doesn't find the situation I was just in funny.
is. So, this kid.
Yeah. Well, thank God he bombed his dick off afterwards. He had to go fucking trade it into your dispensary. Oh my God. You're just like, he's like, you guys aren't funny. Here's some jokes about Hamas. I remember being the only one laughing.
I remember that now. I remember that specifically.
Yeah.
I won't tell you why, but I remember that specifically.
I'll tell you why I do. Because I fucking, because he did a couple like really heinous, I'm not calling it heinous, but he was doing statistics of the war, which are going to be heinous in their context. And it really took the energy out of the room, except out of me. Because I was so happy it was happening to him. I was like, ah! It's just silence. He's looking at me, and I'm like, ah! I'm like the fucking old guy in the wheelchair in Breaking Bad. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. It's just so fucking. It was like it was just karma. Just karma in action there. But that's the fun thing about it, because I obviously am never going there again. Whereas that place unfortunately has been ruined.
Nah, you can go back. Nobody remembers you.
No, it's not that. It's just kind of like, imagine if you went to Dairy Queen and Hulk Hogan tombstoned your grandmother to death. And
Hulk Hogan
like,
never
he
did
didn't.
Tombstone, so just saying.
I'm trying to be topical with Lloyd and his wrestling. All right, shut the fuck
What
up.
the hell are you talking about? That was the Undertaker.
Okay, he does a leg drop on your grandmother. Okay, Hulk Hogan does the fucking.
Him and
Does
his
the like
L5L6 spine fused together.
exactly.
50 years of dropping on his asshole.
It's the
What the fuck do you think is gonna
calcium-ridden
happen?
fucking mass of flesh that is Hulk Hogan's back, and that gigantic elephant trunk dick he has lands on the face of your grandmother. And
That was the secret of the leg drop. It had nothing to do with the leg. It was just a hog smacking you in the eyeballs.
it's the peg drop. Yeah. So, anyways,
Oh sorry.
Dick stamps your grandmother. Her head explodes all over the ground at Dairy Queen, and it's just a mess. Because he was like, "I thought this was part of the show. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't even know that was your grandmother." Anyways, you're gonna take a break from Dairy Queen for a little while, no matter how good it is.
God damn.
That's my point about not going to Jungle Mike.
There was a place called TD Waffle near my house when I was younger.
Hulk Hogan
And
fucked my grandmother.
my dad brought my grandmother there along with me one morning for breakfast on a Saturday, and she was probably, I don't know, she had to have been like 76 or something at the time, And we're sitting in the booth, and she goes, "What's the name of this place?" And I goes, "TD Waffle." She goes, "TD Waffle? They want me to strip?" And I never went back. I was like, "No,
Right?
never."
Exactly.
Never TD Waffle. Jesus Christ. I've never heard that word come out of her mouth before. She was very prim and proper.
Get me one of the table boys to come over here and touch my feet. Goddamn, Grandma. Oh, goddamn. So, that's the first time we ever talked about a bomb that I didn't technically bomb at. I bombed as a person.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we did it, right?
We wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So, if you're listening to this, we've already had our shows at Delusional, and we don't know how they went because we haven't done them yet in real life. So, we hope they did good. If they didn't, this will be the last episode because we're going to stop. So, hopefully they did. And just remember that even if you're a comic and you bomb, or if you're an aspiring comic and you're afraid to bomb, or if you're a fan of comedy and you feel bad for the people that do, don't to all of those. Because it's just part of the fucking process and it's fun and you get to laugh about it. Like a week later, you're always laughing about it. And it is an essential and worthy step for laughs. Lloyd, you killed me.